Welcome back to the program. You're watching Politics Tonight. Now, for so many observers, Nigeria is fast drifting to a one-party state. This is the fear of political actors in the country. According to them, a situation where one political party holds all the power, no opposition, no choice, just one voice, will offer no alternative to those in power, as they can do whatever they like. A wave of politicians switching from opposition parties to the ruling All Progressives Congress has sparked panic. This flood of defection is shaking the nation. Meanwhile, following the defection of all the 3 PDP senators from Kebbi State and the minority leader of Jigawa House of Assembly to the APC last week, the total number of lawmakers who decamped since 2023 has risen to 86. The defected lawmakers, federal and state, are mostly PDP members. The breakdown is as follows. Now, for senators, we have 7, Reps 19, Delta 22, Rivers 26, Edo 7, Abia 4, and Jigawa 1, and lots more. Now, let's get the perspective of my guest tonight. I'm joined by Okoye Obonuobla. He's a lawyer and writer. We also have Dr. Michael Owonko. He's a political affairs analyst and the chief of staff to Senator Ned Nwoko. Both of them are joining me from our Abuja studio. Gentlemen, good evening and good to have you join us.
Good evening and thank you for having me.
Good evening.
All right, so let me begin with you, Mr. Obonuobla, because we thought that we have seen the last of these defections, but today on the floor of the Senate again, or the House rather, we saw more defections. What, in your opinion, is fueling the wave of the defection and surge of politicians to the APC?
Well, there's something wrong. People realigning, human beings realign, and when human beings come together to form a political party or society or association, they always align for one reason or the other. And that is why the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1999, as amended, makes provisions for freedom of association, freedom of movement. So there is nothing wrong constitutionally or legally or politically for somebody to move from one political party to the other. You know that our democracy is very young, it's evolving, it's nascent. It's evolving. You cannot compare our democracy to even that of the United States that has been around for the past 100 years, or the UK, or even India. Our democracy is just about 25 years old. Democracy was truncated in Nigeria in 1966. Then in 1979, we had democracy from 1979 to 1983, and then the military struck again, and they were in power from 1983 to 1999, and then the power was returned to to the civilians in 1999. Just 25 years. It's too young. If you are a 25 years old man or woman, you are about to make a lot of mistakes. You will stumble and get up. So that is the process. The process we are. Our democracy is evolving. So there's something so strange about people moving from one party A to party B, and all those people who are shouting, "Oh, we're one party." It's not a one party. Nigeria is not a one party state because we don't have that constitution that says, or the law that says only one party.
I will get to the one party state narrative in just a moment, but I want to stay with you because you have said it is not illegal. Absolutely, it's not illegal, and it is. People have freedom of movement, but when a politician has a 20-year political career and then has moved around four political parties in 20 years, which means that in almost election cycle, he's in a different political party. Shouldn't citizens express some level of worry?
Well, as I said before, our democracy is evolving, and we have had political leaders who have been moving from one party to the other. For instance, Atiku Abubakar, he was in PDP, and then he moved to Action Congress. From Action Congress, PDP. Then from PDP again, he went to APC. Then from APC, he went back to PDP. Even Peter Obi was in APGA. He was in PDP, then it migrated from there to Labour Party. So our democracy is evolving. We are going to see more of that. There is nothing so bad about it. As long as the government has not, the National Assembly has not prescribed a law saying that people should not move from one party to the other. The right of freedom of association is, abolished in the Constitution. It's there. We have seen the right to freedom of association in practice, that people will move from one party to the other in accordance with the prevailing times. So the prevailing time now, what we have is that APC is the biggest party. APC is being attractive, so people definitely move from one party to the other to APC. But let's wait and see. Elections are around the corner, 2027, and let's see if we are going to have a dominant one party. Because even if we are talking about one party system, there are three categories. We have one party system, like in China. That is, the Constitution says you must be one party. Then we have one dominant one-party state. For instance, Japan is a very developed country, industrially, technologically. But since 1955, we have always have one party dominating the politics of Japan. And that party has shaped the economic life of Japan, political life of Japan. That is the Liberal Democratic Party. They came to power in 1955. What was Singapore too? A country that we saw metamorphosing from a backward colonial, country to one of the most advanced countries in the world, technologically, industrially, economically. Singapore. Singapore had only one party dominating its politics. That's the People's Action Congress. It has dominated the politics of Singapore since 1965. Even in Africa, we have seen what the African National Congress is doing in South Africa. Since 1994, it has been a dominant one party in South Africa. But that doesn't make South Africa a one-party state. And even in Nigeria, PDP, there was a time PDP, 2007, PDP had 31 state governors. So we really have the position,
in countries that you have mentioned, quite all right, we see dominant political parties. What we don't see is defection in the way we see it in Nigeria. And I want to bring in Dr. Wonko into the conversation. Mr. Ogbonobla has painted the picture of what's going on in other countries, absolutely. But some will say that, look, what is happening now with a defection and not necessarily having a dominant party is reflective of the kind of politics that will play here, where the winner takes it all.
Yes, thank you so much for that brilliant question and insight. Really, if we look at a bit of semantics, logical semantics, right from our nascent democracy from 1999, to where we are at this point in time. But before then, let me just state here, without your contradiction, that affiliation to a political party is meant to be on the basis of political and philosophical leanings. And if at some point you realize that the political and philosophical leanings that you have shared over the years with the party is no longer, in tandem with what it is at this point in time, what do you do? Then you have to take a very critical decision. Now, in 1999, after the elections, we had about 20 states being controlled by the PDP at that time. Then, in 2003, we had about 29 states. PDP had gained additional 9 states, therefore leaving other political parties to share the just PDP and of course, the APP at that time that was in 1999. PDP had 20 states, APP had 9 states, and of course, the AD had, 6 states. Then of course, in 2003, PDP gained additional 9 states, and then in 2007, PDP had gained additional 2 states, making it a total of 31 states, out of 35 states. Thereabout. then of course, what we have today, you look at the margin at that time, compared to what we have today. As at April of 2025, APC controls 22 states in the country, then leaving PDP to control 11 states, ABGA 1, Labour Party 1, then NMPP 1. Okay? Now, how can it be said? If you put, if you correlate the figure, you will agree with me that opposition party now have 14 states, and then the ruling party, which is the APC, now controls 22 states. In fact, let's even go to the world's oldest democracy, which is the United States of America. Today, where you have about 27 states controlled by the Republican Party, you have 23 controlled by the Democratic Party. Out of the 50, difference is 4. Now, the difference now in Nigeria is 8, while the difference is 4 between the ruling party and the opposition party in the world's oldest democracy. Are you getting what I'm saying? So how can it be said that the country is drifting into a one-party state? It is not really. But again, if one has affiliated, himself with a political party for the purpose of winning elections and delivering the dividends of democracy to the people on the basis of political and philosophical leanings, and if at some point there's a deviation, which of course played out to situations that led credence
if I may
to the
come
defection.
in, because you're talking about if you are in a political party and then the reason why or the ideology that attracted you to the party doesn't seem to be in place anymore, then you have to realign. But for a lot of people, because we know that your principal, Senator Ned Nwoko, also defected recently, and for those who follow that development, I don't think that they believe it was because the political ideology of PDP no longer aligned with his own values. For a lot of people, it was because of personal ambition and perhaps what he was promised by the APC. Yes,
I was about coming there, okay? Now, if you look at the circumstances that lend credence to the defection of my boss, distinguished Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, you will come to the irresistible, if not beguiling conclusion that it was purely on the basis of the fact that he was no longer in a friendly, political environment with which to deliver on the dividends of democracy to the people. And during the course of the defection, he made it very clear, and also was on different, media, outfits, including your own media outfits, etc., where we elucidated on the issues. The reasons were very clear. During the electionary campaign process, he made it very clear that, yes, he would deliver promptly and above board on all that he has actually committed to the solemn campaign promises, etc. But by the time he was inaugurated as a senator, it became very difficult at that point in time because he could no longer collaborate with the government order of the state in order to deliver his campaign promises to the people. At that point in time, all the ideas that he put on the table were dismissed. Governance is all about collaboration, effective collaboration. And you must also agree with me that after the electionary campaign or process, there comes governance. And if at the end of the day, and governance is actually the most critical component, of the political system, of the political kaleidoscope. If having been elected into office, you're not able to deliver on your campaign promises to the people, then it becomes a problem. Particularly when you are a firebrand, you are in a hurry to deliver on these solemn campaign promises, which my boss, distinguished Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, stands for. At that point in time, it became very difficult that even when he proposed this program, is dismissed. He proposed this, is dismissed, etc. He cannot just be a senator in name in the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He felt that there was need for him to realign, collaborate effectively with the federal government of Nigeria, with the administration of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFRO, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in order to bring about effective development to the people of Delta North Senatorial District in line with his solemn campaign promises, etc. At the moment he realigned, of course, we saw the difference. Are you getting? And at that point in time, there were a lot of issues in the states. You agree with me? I was in your station here, to elucidate on issues at that point where we were receiving punches, from, everywhere. People were throwing tantrums at us, the party members, etc. in the states were, casting aspersions that, we abandoned them after they had suffered, etc. They were not grateful without actually looking at the issues, etc. But today, even those who were throwing punches at us at that point in time for defecting, into the APC, are now with us in the APC. So how can you reconcile that? That is to say, however, that what we saw at that point in time, that led credence to our realignment, to, the APC, etc., they didn't say it. But of course, the moment we realized, they eventually now saw it, and today they are now in the political party. At that point in time, it was made very clear, because before my boss defected, to the APC, there were 2 senators, because there are a total of 3 senators in Delta State. At that time, 2 senatorial districts controlled by APC, 1 by PDP, that is for Delta North Senatorial District. The moment he defected to the APC, then the 3 senatorial districts were now being controlled by APC. And if you look at it by way of proportional representation, you will agree with me that at that point in time, it was clear that APC really was in charge of the state, because 3 senators, are equal to a governor. I made it very clear.
Let me put you on hold.
At that time,
just let me put you on hold. All right, so we'll put that conversation on hold. We would sign Politics Tonight out of TVC News, but you can continue to watch on an Ofcom channel and on YouTube as well. We'll also take a break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Our conversation tonight is centered on the wave of defection into the APC and what that means for our nascent democracy. We've been speaking with lawyer and writer Okoye Obonuobla. We've also been speaking with Dr. Michael Owoko, who is a political affairs analyst and the chief of staff to Senator Ned Owoko. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me come to you, Ms. Obonuobla. When Dr. Owoko was speaking, he was painting a picture of what played out in Delta State, where Senator Ned Owoko left because of some disagreements in the PDP. But those he left have also now joined him in the APC. And I'm wondering if the APC is taking in strange bedfellows, what does that also mean for that party?
Well, in every political party, you cannot say that everybody in that party, will agree with one another. So in a political party, you can find people who are leftists, some are rightists, some are centrists, and so forth and so on. So that is what is in APC. It has always been like that from the formation of APC, which was an amalgamation of about 3 political parties and, ACN, CPC, AMPP, and then factions of ABGA and DPP coming together to emerge. So all in APC, you find a lot of tendencies. You find a CPC tendency. You find the ACN tendency. You find the AMPP tendency. You find a new PDP tendency. So we are going to have a lot of tendencies in APC. And it's not peculiar with APC. It's even in PDP. It's not peculiar with Nigeria. In the United States, the Democratic Party, you find people like Benedict Sanders, who is a socialist. And then you have conservatives. You have people who believe in capitalism. And so forth and so on. In the Republican Party, if you go to the Congress Party in India, in the UK, so every party must have a lot of tendencies, must have a lot of factions, if you may put it that way. So there's something wrong in Senator Owoko.
Mr. Obonuobla, I agree with what you're talking about, but you're painting a very ideal picture. And you will also agree with me that our political culture is very different from any other country. Where we are today is the APC being the dominant party. The PDP used to be where the APC is now for 18 years. But as soon as it lost control of power, its internal democracy also seemed to have disintegrated. Can you particularly say that the APC has consolidated its stronghold in Nigerian politics to be able to deal with all of this, the crisis or the challenges that might arise from all of this, taking in defectors and the ability to satisfy them?
Well, yes, sure. APC has survived for 10 years. Before we merged, there was this theory by PDP was saying, this is a party of strange bedfellows, that it's not going to be possible for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former President Muhammadu Buhari, Governor Rocha Sokorosha, Dr. Ogbonayono, who was the chairman of AMPP, that it was not possible for them to come together to form a political party. But we did that. And APC has survived from 2013, and we are now in 2025, for 12 years. So all this stress we have seen, it has APC has been able to withstand all this stress. So I don't foresee APC coming down or APC, getting divided because of all the people coming into APC. The party has the stamina to be able to manage all the tendencies that are coming into APC. And the Nigerian political culture has been very at variance with opposition. What caused the problem in Western Nigeria in the 1960s? It was because of the resistance of some faction of action group against Chief Akintola, who was the premier of Western Nigeria, from realigning with the federal government that was under Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. And so you can't stop people from aligning. You can't stop people from associating. So the Akintola faction of Action Group was not happy about that. And this led to the crisis in the Western Nigeria. That crisis snowballed into, the coup that led to the removal of the first civilian government from office in Nigeria in 1966. So in the Second Republic too, 1979, we had Unity Party of Nigeria, we have AMPP, NPP, we have GMPP, we have PDP, NPN. And you saw that in 1983 elections, there was an attempt to form a coalition to fight PDP, because PDP has become a very big party. And it was not successful. And then from there, Nigeria was gradually moving into a one-party dominant state, but it was truncated when the military took over power. So that is the political culture of Nigeria. Nigerians don't want to be in opposition. Everybody wants to align with the federal government, just like what made Senator Nwoko to leave PDP to join APC. He wants to align with the federal government, the government in power at the center. Because if he does that, he will bring a lot of benefits to the people of Delta North Senatorial District. So that is our political culture. And there is nothing wrong with that.
All right, let me bring in Dr. Wonko into the conversation. You've said something, two things I want to talk to him about. One, you said he wants to align with the federal government. But I will start with the question about whether or not we are sliding into a one-party state. Because when you look at Delta State right now, Dr. Wonko, it will look like there is no credible or viable opposition in that party. Isn't that also almost like a replica of what we might likely see if we continue to witness this level of defections in the country?
I do not totally agree with you that we're sliding into a one-party state. Reason being that for every political system, okay, you must have a dominant party, which of course is regarded to as the ruling party. And you get it, of course, you have the minority in the opposition, etc. And of course, for democracy to thrive, democracy, they say government of the people, by the people, and for the people. For democracy to thrive, there must be a formidable opposition to be able to keep the ruling party in checks. Are you getting? Now, but we looked at the political trajectory of this country from our nascent democracy without prejudice to what has happened in the past historically. From that 1999, you agree with me, PDP was the dominant party from 20 states in 1999 to 29 states in 2003, then to 31 states in 2007, etc. But you equally saw, the reverse, okay, of the entire trend from that 2014 down to 2015, etc., when another political party took over the helms of affairs, in the country. That is balance, okay, of leadership, balance, of power. Are you getting a line with democratic tenets? So what is happening now is also in line with same democratic tenets. So it cannot be said that APC under the control of 22 states in the country, then leaving PDP to control 11, and then ABGA 1, NNPP 1, Labour Party 1, and that the country is drifting to a one-party state. I do not totally agree with you.
Dr. Moko, I was even speaking about Delta State.
Yes.
Who or what party?
They're coming to Delta.
Hold on.
Coming to
Who
Delta.
or what party is the, just a minute, who or what party is the viable opposition in Delta State? When you move the entire party structure into another political party, haven't you collapsed that political party? I mean, is it the Labour Party? Who stands as a viable opposition to the APC in Delta State at the moment?
Yes. Now, coming to Delta State, what has happened in Delta State happened just recently. That's precisely on the 28th of April, when His Excellency the Governor, alongside the entire, gamut of, the political structure in the state, really, were collapsed into the APC. You see, defection, okay, from one political party to the other is as a result of a combination of factors. Let me just recap. Now, having made campaign promises, you want to have a friendly atmosphere and environment, not an inimical one, to be able to deliver on your campaign promises to the people. When the environment is inimical, what do? You have to, take a critical decision to realign. You see, it's all about the people. Are you getting it? My boss, distinguished Senator President Mone Nwoko, had made it very clear that his defection from PDP to APC was not about personal ambition, etc., but it was all about the people. He wanted to be able to find himself in a position to deliver more. Are you getting of the dividends of democracy to the people of Delta Senatorial District? Now, looking at the defection of His Excellency the Governor and the entire gamut of the political, structure, the party, PDP party, heated to PDP party structure into the APC, is also in line with this combination of factors. It was made very clear that, look, Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has been able to redefine leadership in Nigeria. The man has shown that he could feel the pulse of the people and knows when it's palpable. The man is in a hurry. Mr. President is in a hurry to carry out reforms in this country. And so it is right for a pro-democratic individual or a responsive government who hitherto was not, part of the train, the political train that is moving this country to the next destination. Are you getting it? Not to understand or not to appreciate the performance of Mr. President. And so it was made very clear during the course of defection that the essence of that movement in Delta State was to collaborate effectively with the government order at the federal level in order to bring about, development, massive development in the state. Governance is all about using the instrument of governance to better the loss of the people. It was made very clear. That's not to say that it's a one-party state. The people of Delta State, or some persons in Delta, some pro-democratic individuals in the state, are at liberty to associate with opposition. They have the liberty. Are you getting it? They have the space to be able to now, congregate, into a formidable opposition that can keep the ruling party in checks. Are you getting the point I'm making? So we must understand the trajectory here. Mr. President has performed so well. You will agree with me that for over 2 decades, the local refineries in the country never worked. Over 2 decades. A nation that is the 5th largest producer of crude oil in the world is exporting the finished product, the finished product. Is that not an irony? But for the first time in 2 decades, the local refineries are now working in Nigeria. And in no time, I know that we'll be able to, meet with domestic, the demand, for domestic consumption, etc. And even have enough to export with what we are saying now. The moment he was inaugurated, the day he was sworn into office as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he said, fuel subsidy no more. He dismantled the fuel subsidy cabal. In the recent times, no leader had, summoned courage to dismantle the fuel subsidy cabal. And that eventually buffered the allocation to states, etc. So the state governors, down to local governments and all that, all the tiers of government now have, disposable income, a lot of resources to be able to now, galvanize, such similar instrument, that's the instrument of governance, which resources and some other factors
Dr.
in order
Moko,
to better the loss
I get that
people.
argument.
We are seeing it happen now for the first time.
Mr. Obono Obla into the conversation. Mr. Obla, some people will say, look, the APC has not learned from its 2014 to 2018 experience where you had members of the PDP and other parties like the former President Saraki, Kwankwaso, and a host of other governors and lawmakers defect into the party. It became a vehicle for them to win elections. by 2015, they had overturned the direction of the party in terms of the leadership, what they wanted for the leadership of the National Assembly. And that became a challenge for the party between 2015 and 2018, when they defected back to the PDP. Isn't there a lesson here for the APC to learn in terms of accepting every defector into his party?
Well, that defection was actuated by what I would call vaulting ambition. If you have read William Shakespeare's work, Macbeth, what he calls vaulting ambition, Kwankwaso wanted to be a presidential candidate in 2019. By all means, he came from PDP to APC in 2014, and he was nursing his ambition. And he read the political barometer very well, that the party will not give ticket to him because President Muhammadu Buhari was there already, an incumbent president who normally is entitled to a second term. So he left. Abubakar Atiku, he came from PDP in 2014, May 2014, to APC. And, he vied for the presidential nomination ticket of APC, but he couldn't get it. He was defeated. He came third. And he was still nursing his ambition of contesting. He had to leave in 2018, back to PDP, to get the ticket to run in 2019. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, the circumstances under which he emerged as Senate President, the party didn't want him. The party wanted the Senate presidency to go to northeastern region that has been so neglected, and Saraki couldn't stomach that. He was so ambitious. So what he did was to align with some group in PDP and some renegades, senators in APC, to become Senate President. And the party was not happy with him. He was not comfortable, and then he had to leave. So you can see the circumstances under which Kwankwaso left, Bukola Saraki left, and Atiku Abubakar left. It was not because APC couldn't withstand those tendencies they came with. It was just because of their vaulting ambition. And because when they left back to, PDP, APC still did well. APC won the 2019 presidential election, and in 2023 again, they won the presidential election. So that is what we have been saying, that a party as large as APC has the ability to withstand tension, to withstand the stress among its membership. Management. What is politics? Politics is all about management of people. In a society is made up of a lot of diversity. So a politician must be able to manage diversity in society, the diversity in government, the diversity in the political party. Otherwise, you are not a politician. Because
but Mr. Bonobla, isn't that what is playing out again today?
When and how?
People just looking for a vehicle for their personal ambition. And if you have members of your party who are already aspiring to certain positions, and then you have defectors into the party who are aspiring to that same position, political historians and observers say, look, that is going to be a major challenge for the APC come 2027, perhaps one of its biggest challenges to deal with.
Well, I would not agree with you to a large extent. I wanted to go to the Senate in 2023. I wanted to contest. I wanted a ticket under APC. And I didn't get a ticket. That didn't make me to leave. Even though my opponent was dashed, everything was manipulated in his favor. So what APC has to do is APC has to, ensure that there is internal democracy in the choice of people who are going to, contest under its platform. If there is internal democracy, I don't think there will be any problem. If anybody goes into a primary election and there's a level playing ground for everybody, the guidelines, prescribed by the party is obeyed, the constitution of the party is obeyed, the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is obeyed. I think nobody will begin to feel bad if he is defeated. But when you do not, comply with the processes, internal processes set as prescribed by the party to ensure that there is, free and fair, transparent primary election, then some people will get angry and leave. But I do not think that people move from one party to the other because of ambition. Sometimes also ideology. When your party goes outside the ideological framework of the founding fathers of the political party, some people may want to opt out. So look, this ideology you are going to is at variance with my own ideology on why I joined this party in the first place. So it is not only ambition.
Mr. I don't think Nigerians will agree with you on the idea of political ideology, because for a lot of Nigerians, there is no political party in this country today that can actually speak to its political ideology. If they have one, they haven't stuck with it, over the years. But let me bring in Dr. Woko back into the conversation. There is now a talk about a coalition. We've seen some political stalwart, for example, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and then former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, and then El-Rufai, trying to get people into that coalition. Is power recapture possible for this coalition?
Well, thank you so much for that question. Yes, we are beginning to see a wind of such coalition with which to challenge the ruling party, that's my own political party, the APC, come 2027. We are monitoring the trends very cautiously, which is a welcome development. Like I said earlier, for democracy to thrive, there must be a formidable opposition to keep the ruling party in check, okay, so as to ensure that the tenets of democracy really are met. And so, for me, that is a welcome development. But I can tell you that if you juxtapose the performance of Mr. President, who is, of course, according to the constitution of the party, the leader of the APC in Nigeria today, as to the feelers that we are getting, the feedback mechanism that we are getting, from the people of Nigeria, you will come to the irresistible conclusion that truly he has performed creditably well. You see, one thing about leadership in a system where democracy really is thriving. Nigeria is one of the fastest growing democracies in the world. I can say this without fear of contradiction. If you follow the trajectory of our political kaleidoscope from 1999 to date, you'll agree with me. Good. So that is to say, however, that in a system where democracy is really thriving, the only barometer with which to conduct appraisal of the government order is performance. And I can tell you that the vast majority of Nigerians truly are happy with what we're seeing in terms of performance of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so, when you bring such coalition, etc., no matter the legion, it will be very difficult, to outplay the performance-driven administration led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. However, it's a welcome development because we are in democracy, and so we wish them well. But I can tell you that what is on the ground, okay, in terms of what we are looking at today is novel. We are looking at a credible, a resilient, we're looking at a sustainable and viable political system created by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President Commander, the Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have never seen it before. And so it is purely on the basis of performance. Yes, we welcome that development, but what I will say is that we'll meet in the field. But I can tell you that even despite the coalition, no matter the legion, Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win the 2027 election overwhelmingly. I can say that without fear of contradiction. If you look at all the political indices in this country and you now judge by his performance and where we are going to be, look at where we are now, 2 years after his administration. That will also give you a clue as to what the projection is going to be in the next 2 years, etc. then that's to say that
Dr.
there's going to be melodramatic changes in this country. And with all these defections, yes, even with all these spate of defections we are seeing today, I can tell you that for people like, my boss, Senator, Prince Ned Munewoko, and other people of goodwill and pro-democratic persons, responsive, government order who are defecting to the party, it's very clear that they are aligning. And they know that with such alignment, it will eventually help to buffer their performance both at the state and local government level.
I would have loved to
when you perform, you don't need to campaign. You don't need to campaign so much to the people, because it is your performance. It's your performance that will campaign for you.
Actually feel, but my time is up. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Dr. Michael Owoko, who is a political affairs analyst and then also the chief of staff to Senator Ned Owoko, thank you for your time. Mr. Koi Obonuobla, who is a lawyer and writer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource person is his or theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Now, meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at quarter past midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and on X at TVC News NG. On YouTube, we're live at TVC News Nigeria. Thanks for watching. I am Precious Amayo.